Did you know that if you're applying for Canadian permanent residence, you and even your family members must complete a medical exam, whether they are coming with you or not? A lot of newcomers get confused about this part, and there are so many applications that get delayed just because of mistakes with the medical exam. So today we are going to break everything down: who needs a medical exam, when to take it, how it works, and what you should expect during the exam, and some tips to avoid common mistakes that could slow down your PR application. So why is the medical exam even required? So Canada wants to make sure that anyone coming to live here long term doesn't pose a risk to public health or safety. They're also checking that your health condition won't cause excessive demand on Canada's healthcare system. Now, this isn't meant to discriminate at all. It's part of Canada's immigration law, and it applies across board. And remember, even if your spouse or kids are not moving with you to Canada, they still need to do the medical exam. This is because IRCC needs to assess your whole family's admissibility, not just yours. Now, when it comes to having the medical exam done, some do it upfront, some do it after they've submitted their application. So when do you actually have to do it? So in the past, many applicants could choose to either submit an upfront medical exam or wait until IRCC asked for it. But here's the big update. As of August 21st, 2025, express entry applicants are now required to complete an upfront medical exam before submitting their PR application. So for express entry applicants, it's no longer a choice. You have to submit an upfront medical exam. That means if you're applying through express entry, you must include your proof of medical exam with your application. It must go with the application. Now, if you're applying to other programs like sponsorship, PMPs, humanitarian applications, or any other application to Canada that requires medical exam, IRCC might still send you instructions after you apply. So you may choose to wait so that after the application, IRCC would give you the guidelines on how to go about it. But for express entry applicants, remember, you now have to submit an upfront medical exam. So it's really important to check what applies to the particular stream that you are applying through. But again, the bottom line, express entry, make sure you have an upfront medical. No upfront medical, your application is going to be rendered incomplete, period. Now, who can perform the exam? Another key point, you can't just go to your family doctor for this, okay? IRCC only accepts exams done by a panel physician. That's a doctor who has been approved by Immigration Canada. You can find a full list of panel physicians on the official IRCC website. If you want, I can put a link to that in the description. And if you're outside Canada, you need to find a designated doctor in your country. And if you're inside Canada, there are clinics in major cities that can do this for you. So what really happens during the exam? It's a pretty straightforward medical exam. The doctors will ask about your medical history, including past or current health issues. They will do a physical exam, things like checking your heart, lungs, eyes, blood pressure, etc. They will send you to do lab tests like blood and urine samples, and usually you would also need a chest x-ray. The whole process can take a couple of hours depending on the clinic. Now, here's some good news. You don't need to be in perfect health to pass. I know some people might be panicking, but you don't need to be in perfect health. Canada is not looking for people with colds, asthma, or some manageable conditions. What they're concerned about is whether someone has a condition that might pose a public health risk or lead to a very high healthcare or social service cost. That's it. So if you're feeling unwell at the moment and you're worried about taking that exam, don't worry. Canada is not looking for these manageable conditions that I've just mentioned or some things similar to that. Just looking for those high risk situations. So after the exam, the panel physician sends the results directly to IRCC electronically. You don't have to send them yourself, but you should get a confirmation sheet from the doctor. You can keep that safely. Actually, I recommend that you keep that safe because you need it as proof that you have actually done the medical. And remember, if you did an upfront medical exam, you must include that proof with your peer application. So it's good to get that proof from the panel physician. Also remember that the results of your medical exam are only valid for 12 months. Okay, so if your application drags on, you may have to redo the exam. I've heard of certain situations where individuals were actually asked to redo the exam because the applications took so long and their medical exam expired. Okay, so this has been a very short update and a short discussion on the medical exam. And a quick recap is everyone applying for PR needs a medical exam, including family members, even if they are not coming with you. Okay, and for express entry, make sure that you have an upfront medical exam done. It is now mandatory, so make sure you do it before applying. Now, only IRCC approved panel physicians can do the exam. Okay, if they're not approved by IRCC, you cannot have your medical exam done with them. Simple as that. Now, the process includes a history check, a physical exam, blood test, x-rays, so bear that in mind when you are planning for this. And finally, don't forget that the tests are only valid for 1 year. If you prepare properly, this part of the PR process is actually pretty smooth. Like I said, I'll put a link to how you can find a panel physician wherever you live. I'll put a link to the IRCC website in the description of the video so you can check that out. So what do you think? Did anything about the medical exam surprise you? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience, and if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Canada immigration guides. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.